This Republic of India passport is the primary document of full membership in the state. If you hold this, you are a citizen, enjoying complete civil and political rights. If you don't, you are classified as an alien, either a friendly alien or an enemy alien from a country at war with India. The Constitution also separates the idea of domicile, which is a legal intent to make a place your permanent home, from a resident who simply lives in the country for a set number of days. This table illustrates how different nations structure that membership. Switzerland operates on a triple citizenship model: national, canton, and commune. The United States uses dual citizenship, national and state. India deliberately adopted a strict single citizenship model. You are a citizen of the Union of India alone, not of Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu. The framers engineered this specific structure to prevent regional fractures and build a unified national fraternity. Let's look at the constitutional rights reserved for Indian citizens. You can categorize them with the phrase 15, 16, 19, vote and shine. That's Articles 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30. These protect you from discrimination, guarantee equal opportunity in public employment, and secure freedoms like speech and movement. You also get the exclusive right to vote in national elections and hold constitutional offices like the President, CAG, or a Supreme Court judge. A passport acts as a specific legal shield. It defines the exact boundary between a visitor passing through the territory and a full participant holding power in the Republic. Part 2 of the Constitution maps out citizenship at the exact moment the Republic was born, January 26, 1950. Here is a matrix of Articles 5 through 11. To anchor this sequence, use this rule: 5, 6, 7, 8 citizens arrive, 9, 10, 11 Parliament drives. The first half, Articles 5 through 8, handled the immediate demographic chaos of partition. Article 5 covered those already domiciled in India. The friction points are Articles 6 and 7. Article 6 granted citizenship to migrants fleeing from Pakistan. Article 7 covered the reverse scenario: people who migrated to Pakistan after March 1, 1947, but then returned to India for resettlement. Article 8 covered persons of Indian origin residing abroad. Moving down the matrix, Articles 9 and 10 set the administrative boundaries. Article 9 enforces the single citizenship rule. If you voluntarily acquire a foreign passport, your Indian citizenship automatically terminates. Article 10 guarantees that if you are recognized as a citizen, your rights continue, subject to the laws passed by Parliament. That brings us to Article 11. The Constitution dictates that Part 2 was primarily a temporary fix for the 1950 population. Article 11 is the constitutional handoff. It grants Parliament the absolute authority to regulate the acquisition and termination of citizenship going forward. The framers drew the starting line, categorized the original population, and then transferred the entire legal framework to the legislature to manage the future. Using that Article 11 power, Parliament passed the Citizenship Act of 1955. It established 5 distinct mechanisms to acquire citizenship. We map these to 5 pillars: B, D, R, N, and I. Brave defenders register new Indians. B is by birth, which evolved from a simple right of soil to requiring at least one Indian parent. D is descent, for children born abroad. R is registration, requiring 7 years of ordinary residence in India, usually for spouses or persons of Indian origin. N stands for naturalization, designed for foreigners who renounce their previous citizenship, reside in India for 12 years, and demonstrate adequate knowledge of an 8th schedule language. Finally, I is Incorporation of Territory, applied when a new region joins the Union. The 1955 Act also dictates how citizenship is removed. Remember the letters R, T, and D. Rights totally disappear. These blocks stand for renunciation, termination, and deprivation. Let's test that logic immediately. If an Indian citizen secretly acquires a Canadian passport, how is their Indian citizenship lost? Is it renunciation or termination? The answer is termination. Renunciation requires a formal, voluntary declaration. Simply acquiring another nation's citizenship triggers an automatic termination under the law. The final block, deprivation, occurs when the central government actively strips citizenship, usually for obtaining it by fraud or communicating with an enemy during war. Indian citizenship is a conditional privilege. The state retains the sole authority to revoke it if allegiance is broken. Let's untangle the terminology surrounding overseas Indians. A non-resident Indian, or NRI, is a citizen who simply lives abroad. A person of Indian origin, or PIO, is a foreign citizen with Indian ancestry. In 2015, the PIO category was entirely merged into the Overseas Citizen of India, or OCI, scheme. An OCI cardholder is not a dual citizen. They receive a lifelong visa, but they are denied the vote and shine rights. They cannot vote, they cannot purchase agricultural properties, and they cannot hold constitutional posts. In 2019, the Citizenship Amendment Act adjusted the naturalization rules. It established a fast-track pathway for 6 minority religious communities: Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians, fleeing religious persecution from 3 specific neighbors: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. The legal anchor here is the cutoff date. Applicants must prove they arrived in India on or before December 31, 2014. Operating alongside these naturalization laws is the National Register of Citizens, or NRC. Currently active in Assam under the supervision of the Supreme Court, the NRC is a highly complex verification process. It identifies genuine citizens by tracing ancestry through historical census data and electoral rolls up to the midnight of March 24, 1971. These frameworks operate together, managing the difficult tension between accommodating historical refugees and auditing the nation's sovereign borders. This data heat map highlights the specific nuances frequently targeted in competitive exams. In UPSC and defense exams, questions prioritize the statutory limitations of OCI status, the exact list of exclusive fundamental rights, and the automatic termination clause in Article 9. Let's apply our rules to a live question. When a statement claims an OCI can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge, you immediately eliminate it using our 15-16-19 vote and shine rights block. If an assertion claims India allows dual citizenship for special categories, you strike it out. Article 9 and the 1955 Act enforce single citizenship without exception. Exam success requires exact precision regarding exceptions and cutoff dates. Once you identify the legal boundaries, you stop guessing and start eliminating. Here is your final mind map. It contains the breakdown of Articles 5 through 11, the BDR-NI pathways, the RTD loss mechanisms, the exclusive rights, and the CAA parameters. Take a screenshot now or scan the QR code to download the high-resolution PDF. Since 1967, New Careers Academy has translated complex syllabi into clear officer material. We are the only institute producing second and third generations of leaders for UPSC, NDA, CDS, CAPF, and AFCAT. Visit the website or call the numbers on screen to secure your seat in our next batch. Mastering the framework of the Constitution is your first step. Defending it in uniform is the mission ahead.